Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel that is Science Unlocked, and here we are with our next chapter that is Respiration in Organisms, which is coming from class 7 Science NCERT textbook. So the very first thing that we have in the chapter is that what do we exactly mean by respiration? What exactly happens is that when we talk about respiration, it is actually the process that is required by the body so that it can perform the different set of functions. Why? Because this particular process is responsible for making up of the energy. So the different set of functions which the body is performing, it can be any particular function. Everything is performed with the help of energy. So the process in which we will going to simply produce this energy is called as respiration, and because this process is going on inside the cells and ultimately it is making a whole sequential process, then it is considered as a cellular respiration as well. Means instead of calling it respiration, we can call it cellular respiration as well. And if we want to define it, we can define it like this, that it is the process or simply the biochemical process which involves the breakdown of glucose, that is the food we are eating, in the presence of oxygen so that it can result in the release of carbon dioxide, water and ATP. So that this ATP is actually the energy currency that we want, but this process actually had two more things, that is carbon dioxide and water, and this carbon dioxide is something that the body exchange while it is taking in the oxygen. So how exactly this process of respiration is equivalent to cellular respiration? Because whenever we talk about the usage of the food that we are taking up, that particular food will be digested because of the breathed in oxygen, and it will be converted into the energy or the ATP molecule. Then this particular product will going to be having an add-on product or byproduct, that is carbon dioxide, which will be released out of the body. So over here each and every cell of the body is doing the same thing. That is why it is simply considered as the cellular respiration, where we simply breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. So this whole process is very important for survival. That is why we are taking up this particular chapter over here. Now when we talk about the process of respiration, depending on the different kind of situations that we have in our body, we have two categories or two types of respiration. That is, one is aerobic and the other one is anaerobic. What happens is that the first kind of respiration that we will be talking about is the aerobic respiration. Now as you can see over here, it is talking about air. It is getting a same sort of sound. So with this we can relate that this is the respiration which will going to takes place in the cells when there will going to be ample amount of oxygen inside the cells, and this particular process will going to produce the final component, that is the carbon dioxide, water and energy. Now this energy is nothing but the ATP molecule. So what exactly is happening is that the food that we are taking in is getting decomposed and producing the products, that is the carbon dioxide, water and energy in the presence of oxygen. So the other part that we have, that is the anaerobic respiration, that will going to be the opposite of this process, where the oxygen will going to be absent, but the same thing will going to happen, means the energy will be produced in some or the other way out. Now over here we do have two categories of organisms, or simply anaerobes. These are the organisms which perform the anaerobic respiration. So these are the facultative anaerobes which are going to have the ability to work in both the conditions, that is presence of oxygen as well as absence of oxygen. For example, we have Escherichia coli or simply E. coli, and the other alternative or the other kind of organisms, that is anaerobes, are the obligate anaerobes, which will only and only be able to respire in the case of absence of oxygen. For example, the Clostridium tetany. So that is exactly the example that we have with reference to the obligate anaerobes. The next aspect that we have in detail, like there's another categorization or differentiation when it comes to anaerobic respiration, that is basically the two categories that we have. One is going to be the lactic acid formation process, and one will going to be the alcohol formation process. So the one which we have in which we will going to get the lactic acid in the end, that particular kind of anaerobic respiration is considered as the lactic acid fermentation. Whereas when we talk about the alcoholic fermentation, or the condition or the anaerobic respiration where the alcohol will be formed, then it is considered as the alcoholic fermentation. So what exactly is happening? Whichever the food that we are getting for decomposition, in case of lactic acid fermentation, the final product will going to have amount of lactic acid in it. On the other hand, when we talk about alcohol fermentation, over here we will going to get the alcohol or ethanol in the final products. So that is how we differentiate it. So the first thing that we are looking into is the respiration in yeast, which is the example of alcohol fermentation. So in the end we will going to get the ethanol. Now this is a kind of fermentation where the like this particular fermentation is observed in our day-to-day life, where the yeast, that is the eukaryotic microorganism, that particular organism will be used in different household uses as well as on the commercial level when it comes to food and beverage industry, that it will going to help in the production of such kind of food where it requires the production of lots and lots of gaseous component, so that ultimately the food can be soft enough to eat when it comes to the overall essence of the food. On the other hand, when we talk about the exact formation with reference to beverage, over there we talk about the importance of carbon dioxide while making the food in beverages in such a manner that the presence of carbon dioxide will going to enhance the taste of that particular beverage. So altogether we can say that it is same as the soda that we see in case of our cold drinks. So the same kind of process takes place. On the other hand, we do have different kind of bakery products like cakes, breads, pastries and things like that. On the other hand, there are certain Indian dishes as well where the concept of fermentation is very very prominent. For example, we have a South Indian food like idli, dosa and chole bhatura. So these are the things where the concept of fermentation is very much prominent. Now the next category that we have is the concept of respiration in muscle cells. So these are actually the condition in case of our body that if we will going to perform any kind of activity which will going to be sudden for the body, then in that case the involved muscles have to perform in a sudden manner. So as a result of that, the muscles will going to start performing the process of respiration in absence of oxygen. Normally what happens is that the muscles are made in such a manner inside the body that they will going to perform the process of respiration aerobically, that means in presence of oxygen, but now they will going to respire anaerobically. So over here what we will going to find out that there will going to be a modification in the project, in the final product, that will going to be lactic acid. We will get the energy, but the add-on product will be lactic acid. Now because of this particular this particular product that we are getting, our muscle will able to survive that specific situation where the muscle has to act suddenly, but as a result of that what will going to happen in long run, we will going to find the problem of muscle cramps, because this lactic acid which has started forming because of the anaerobic respiration in the muscles, it will going to start collecting in that specific muscle, which can be any kind of muscle that has actually gone into that sudden transition for the requirement of energy. So what will going to happen is that these muscles will going to start giving you the sore feeling, that it will start paining altogether, for which what we have to do is we have to take care of that muscle for some time and give it some time to adapt as per the new modification that you have done in your body in terms of the change in exercise or the lifestyle or the routine and activity that with that particular muscle. So the body will get adapted to that. Gradually the deposited or the collected lactic acid will going to get over with it, and you will going to feel the relief out of it. So this is all about the basic idea about respiration, along with certain categories and certain ways with which we need to understand the concept of respiration. Now this is all about the first session. Rest we will going to continue in our next session. So till then, take care and keep learning.